Hi, okay, so I'm Sally and I thought today I will show you how to apply your Jamberry nail wraps, and at the moment I'm naked. Oh no, naked. So I have chosen what I'm going to wear today. I thought I might do a little bit of black floral with an accent nail which is holographic, which you can't get anymore, so I love it, and put it on my ring finger. Alright, so first of all, I'll talk to you about all the tools that you'll need for your application. So, of course, you'll need your sheet of awesome Jamberry wraps, a mini heater, a blow dryer is perfectly fine, a buffer block, some scissors and clippers and scissors, and also a cuticle orange stick, and a cuticle pusher, and a nail file, and also some alcohol wipes, or we've got Jamberry ones, or you can also use some acetone depending if you've got oily nails or not. So the key to applying your nails and getting a really good job, the first thing is making sure that you have really good making sure that you've got really good preparation done on your nails. So the first thing you're going to do is get your orange stick and you're going to push back your cuticles. So push back your cuticles, but also scrape around the top of your cuticles to make sure that you don't have any invisible cuticles. Now I have invisible cuticles and you can't even tell that you've got them until you start to scratch the top of your nail. So check this out. Alright, so see here, I'm scratching around the top of my nail. Can you see it's turning white? That means I've got invisible cuticles. So I need to make sure that I clean that really, really well and push my cuticles back. And your first application, you'll probably find that you will spend a fair bit of time preparing your nails. Now, if you keep applying your wraps, removal and applying, it gets easier because you're always pushing back your cuticles. So I'll spend a little bit of time now and prepare my nails, pushing back the cuticles. Alrighty, cool. So I've prepared all my nails and I've pushed back my cuticles. So the next thing to do is, here we go, get the Morning Fresh, and we're going to go to the kitchen sink and I'm going to wash my hands with Morning Fresh, paying really good attention to cleaning my nails around the edges, around the cuticles and near the skin, to remove any oils from my nails. So let's go do that. Alright, so just preparing my nails and giving them a really good clean with the Morning Fresh. Okay, so we're back and I have pushed my cuticles back and I have washed with Morning Fresh and removed all the oils from my nails. So the next thing we need to do is to just rough buff the top of your nail bed, and that opens up the nail bed for us to also again try and remove some more oils, because oil actually makes the wraps lift, so we want to make sure that we remove as much oil as possible. So I've got myself just a little alcohol swab and I'm going to give each of my nails a really good swab with alcohol. For me, just the alcohol swab works really, really well, but if you've got oily nail beds, you'll find that they're quite shiny. If you've got oily nail beds, what you can do is you could soak your nails in black tea. That also helps to remove the oils, or you can use something a little stronger like acetone, and acetone also helps to remove the oil out of your nail as well. So that's really good if you've got oily nail beds. But for me, I'm happy just with the alcohol swab. Alright, so now that I've prepared my nails, what I need to do is measure what wraps fit. So when you're doing your measuring, what you need to do is you actually need to make sure that you measure slightly smaller than the size of your nail. Because we don't want to touch the cuticle and we don't want to touch the skin on the sides, because as I said, the oil from your skin and your cuticle will make the wrap lift, so we want to always measure slightly smaller. Now everybody has different size nails, so for me, for example, the first one is my little finger, then my pointer, then my ring finger, then my middle finger, then I skip this wrap and then that one fits on my thumb. But everybody's different, so your very first application, you will probably find it takes you a little bit longer because you spend a little bit of time measuring your nails and also with the preparation. Once I know what my size is, every application after that gets quicker. So my first application, it took me about an hour to do my first load of wraps, and each time it got a little bit quicker, and now I can whack these babies on in about 15 minutes and then off and braiding my daughter's hair. So yeah, it does get quicker, and give it a little bit of time. If it's your first application, give it a go, and if you've got any problems at all, make sure that you just contact me and we'll troubleshoot any issues you've got. Don't give up on your first go. You've got to give it 3 or 4 goes before you really decide if wraps are not for you. Alright, so now how we go about preparing. With these wraps, every single wrap fits on 2 nails. So what I like to do is get them all ready by cutting them off of the sheet and lining them up so I know which one goes onto what nail. Now, because I'm doing the accent nail, I cut them and get them ready. So little nail, pointer, ring finger, middle finger, skip one, and my thumb. So there we go. Little finger, pointer. So that one goes there. Ring finger, middle finger, pointer, thumb. Okay, so we have all of these wraps here left over from half a sheet, and I like to put these away for accent nails. You can use these on your toes for petties as well, but I like to cut them down and use them on my fingers. So I'll pop them away in my stash and I'll use them another day. Okay, so now into popping my wraps on. So what I do is I cut the wrap in half, and I get my orange stick and I use the flat end of the orange stick against the end that you've actually cut in half. So the flat end of the wrap is what I use the orange stick for to pick up the wrap. The curved end of the wrap goes up on your cuticle end, so don't put them the wrong way around. So I get this onto my orange stick, and this is my favorite method. It's called the cold application technique. So I get this onto the orange stick and I place it onto my nail and pull the orange stick down. I then check to see by just pushing the tip of the wrap around to make sure that it's not going to touch any skin or cuticle around the side. Once I've done that, I turn on my little mini heater and I warm it up for about 3 to 5 seconds in front of the mini heater. If it's a metallic, you only need about 3 seconds. The shiny, if you've got silver on the backing, then you don't need to heat it as long. Now when I push the wrap down, I always push from the middle top straight down the center first, and then you push the edges down, but don't push straight down the side. What you want to do is you want to work from the top, pushing out in like a V shape towards the front of the nail. Then warm up the other side and do the same on the other side. Now if you get any bubbles occurring at the edges, you can grab this end bit because it's going to come off, lift, pull and stretch. Now I do this regardless of whether I've got a bubble. I pull and stretch around the tip. Application of the wrap, it's all about applying heat. So the first time I apply heat, I use my fingers to push it down. The second time I do it, I use this awesome purple cuticle pusher, paying close attention to all around the edges and the cuticle to make sure I get a really good seal. Okay, so there we go. That's the first wrap. What I then do is, then what I do is I trim the excess off, and I will now continue to apply wraps to the rest of my fingers allowing them time to dry. By cutting this bit off, it allows you to work because you don't have this big massive bit of sticky hanging off the end. So I apply it to the rest of my nails. I go onto my second hand and do it to those nails, and then I'll come back and file. The reason why I allow them to cool is because when you heat something, it expands, and as we give it time to cool down, it'll contract and it'll grab onto the nail a little bit longer. So allowing some time for them to cool before we trim them is really important. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and apply the rest of my wraps, and we'll come back and I'll show you how to trim them. The reason why I use the cuticle stick in underneath to pull it off of the backing is because you don't want to touch the wrap with your fingers, because again, that's applying oil to the adhesive and it'll make it lift. Okay, so I have applied all of my wraps, and now they've still got all of the long tags left on them, and we're going to trim them off. So I'll show you how we do that. They've all cooled, and the jams themselves have gone a little bit harder. You can tell when they're nice and cool, and they've shrunk down a little bit. So what we do is I get a nail file. Now this nail file isn't very abrasive, so if you use a glass nail file or something like this one where it's not too abrasive, it's absolutely perfect. If you use something that's quite rough, it can damage the tip of the nail. So when you're filing the nail, you always file straight down, never ever side to side, and never up, because what can happen is you can get the filing in under the tip of the nail wrap and it'll lift. Okay, so watch how easy this is. I just file straight down around the edge of the wrap, and it falls off. There we go. Once I've cut it off, I feel to make sure there's no sticky bits just by rubbing slightly underneath. After I've done the 90-degree file, I then actually go back around the tip and do a little 45-degree file and show just a small smidgen amount of nail at the tip. Now the reason for this is when you start picking things up, you scratch things. If there's a tiny little bit of wrap that is hanging over the edge, doing that will start to lift the tip. So make sure you can see and expose a tiny little bit of nail there. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and trim the rest of my nail wraps. Never pull the wrap off. Always allow it to fall off by itself. If you've got shorter nails and you're filing and it's getting stuck to your skin, then use the clippers and get in and clip around the nail. Okay, so I've got my jams on now, so there's one final step I like to do. So when you've got long nails and you're trying to push down on the tip of the nail can bend. And as we explained before, it's all about heat and pressure to get a good seal and apply the wrap. So what I like to do, the very last thing before I finish, it's called the Baggie technique. So I'll show you what that is. I get myself just a Ziploc bag, and then I pull it around the tip, and if you have a look there, see how nice and tight that is around the tip? I turn on the mini heater and I hold the bag on the tip of my nail, pull nice and tight, hold it in front of the mini heater for 3 to 5 seconds. And nearly done. And done. So that's it. I'm all jammed up and looking pretty fine. As you can see, I've got one hand's short and one hand's long. That's because I play the guitar, so I've got to keep this hand short and for holding onto the frets, and this one for picking. But you know, when I do show people, I can tell them that, you know, it still looks good on short nails and long nails. Get the best of both worlds when I'm advertising and walking around with my money makers. Alright, so this technique that I've showed you, it's just one of a few different types of techniques. This cold application technique with the stretch and pull and the Baggie technique, that's what works for me. But if it doesn't work for you, then reach out to myself or the person who shared this video with you and troubleshoot the issues to try and get you the perfect application, because all the consultants are well versed in all the different application techniques. But until the next video, have a lovely day, and I will see you online soon. Bye.